You won't believe the story coming up. Kitty's feelings are like standing on a cliff, ready to fall at any moment. They encountered a coffin bearing funeral procession. Kitty panicked at the sight. They stopped before a ramshackle house, its interior as chaotic as a battlefield. Subtitles. Terrifying dolls left by the former owner still linger on the bedside, as if the Grim Reaper had thrown a party here. As night fell, a local English gentleman came to greet them. While Kitty and Finn desperately put on a friendly front, the gentleman could keenly sense their underlying tension. Times eld omat acute at letter GBF Cyrillic letter 4 BB times letter 73 knots and a quarter a micro arabic letter 671 a tilde ad alcidilla u acute to grov braille 34678 a tilde eomat ligachi times a circumflex of o grov acute o tilde circumflexing Chinese letter 1b6 divided by a quarter or os a tilde Chinese letter. Subtitles. But she shook her head in refusal, then pretended to be unconcerned as she asked, "What should I do if I get hungry?" Inside, Kitty's mind was completely blank, and she didn't sleep a single wink all night long. At dawn, there was a cacophony of mourning outside, and Kitty stuffed her ears, thinking that would solve all her problems. Suddenly, she saw her husband in the yard discussing with an officer, his face as serious as if tasting a lemon, speaking cautiously. Finn also arranged protection for his wife. But Kitty thought of them more as Finn's spies, and all she wanted was to escape this dull cage. Charlie was still at the forefront of her thought. She penned a heartfelt plea for help, thinking if Charlie could save her, she'd happily be his unofficial lover. Kitty donned her favourite record, oblivious to the guard's protests, and approached the Englishman to send her letter. The man saw the name and address, laughed, saying it was her old acquaintance. He praised Charlie's wife more, leaving Kitty stunned. She bluntly told Kitty, and Kitty stood there in a daze. Like a child's dream burst by reality, Kitty ripped the letter to shreds and tossed away the charm, finally waking up. But marriage had grown icy. His eyes, like fridge salmon, seemed never to know her. They dined together, yet felt oceans apart. To vent her frustration, Kitty deliberately ingested some suspect vegetables, with Finn grimacing as he joined her in this little Cold War performance. Her fantasies had curdled like expired milk, and Kitty tried to escape but stumbled upon villagers lost to the chaos. Almost entranced, she approached a corpse, while the English gent reluctant dragged her back to the lodge, where Finn was buried in his work. As Finn entered the village, he spotted the well used by the villagers, clearly a hot spot for the outbreak. Subtitles. In order to halt the spread of the epidemic, she made a resolute decision to seal the well, even though it implied that villagers had to walk 4 kilometers every day to fetch water, leaving the astonished villagers utterly incredulous. Good water source became a restricted area suddenly. Everyone eyed Finn like an alien, anger in their eyes, yet he didn't back down. With soldiers' help, they nearly sealed it, but the outbreak persisted, and Finn's heart sank seeing patients suffering in the clinic. Her assistant suggested some drinks to unwind, and a tipsy Finn suddenly showed concern for Kitty's life. What a plot twist. She told Kitty that the convent was free of the epidemic, and if Kitty wanted to make a difference, she could help out there. The next day, Kitty left early for the convent per Finn's advice, seeing the devastated village. She saw crowds of orphans and faces pale from the chaos, the pain lingering in everyone's hearts. The convent head warmly greeted Kitty, and they toured together. The head softly said, "Your husband is our biggest benefactor." Kitty watched the children working in the weaving room and singing in the music room, life still battling on bravely in the midst of turmoil. She left the convent, casting off the gloom from her heart. At home, Kitty prepared dinner, eager for a cozy time with her husband. However, her husband was nowhere to be found, so Kitty went into his study with dinner, discovering Finn asleep, but his pen hadn't dropped yet. At that moment, Kitty saw him saving strangers' lives, a truly busy and strong man. Finn was stirred awake, and Kitty quickly apologized, hopeful to mend their relationship. However, Finn's cold demeanor remained unchanged, not showing a hint of acknowledgement, even refusing to stay for a minute longer. Kitty pleaded. Kitty turned and rushed out, weeping uncontrollably through the door, while her husband stood behind it like a statue, silent. The next day, Finn headed out as usual. While Kitty strolled along the riverbank, Finn was astonished to find villagers carelessly burying infected corpses by the water. Graves near water became virus breeding grounds. Rain could soon let plague bacteria enter rivers. She hastily collected water samples, eager to test them in the lab and find the plague's cause like a mystery movie. At that moment, Kitty knocked on the convent's door again, donned simple clothing, and was determined to rejoin the work at the convent. Kitty eagerly changed diapers for the children, using gestures to communicate since there was a language barrier. No longer a pitiful soul hiding, dreaming of escape, she chose to stay and care for the wounded land with her husband. Testing confirmed that the upstream water was indeed contaminated. To control the plague, two things had to be done: relocating the graves and establishing clean water sources. When she proposed these suggestions, the villagers angrily claimed they would rather believe in ghosts than science. While Finn was getting nowhere with his work, someone at the market began to create spinning tops for the children. Bringing a glimmer by the riverbank, Finn found irrigation gear. He needed aid to bury bodies and build a new water source. The commander and Finn borrowed soldiers from the governor, seeing borrowing manpower as the first solution step. The doctor exclaimed, "This is even dumber than anything I've done before. He respects you immensely. Public health regulation is basically a food fight gone wrong. But my commander says, if you can't control your own troops, then our army would be more than happy to lend a hand." In this madness, soldiers eventually followed them back to the town. The journey to solving the problem was indeed a fabulous adventure. Subtitles: if you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe.